This week at Dreamworld, King Claw continues testing as the ride gets closer to opening, and reading more of your comments and thoughts about upcoming additions to the park. Hello everyone, welcome back to the YumYum Report, bringing you bite-sized updates from Australian theme parks, as well as occasional updates from theme parks around the world. Before we start, I'd like to give a special thanks to Team YumYum for supporting my content. Thank you so much. Last week, King Claw was spotted testing for the first time by TikTok user gc.parkz, and since then a few other people have spotted it testing in the evening as well, including The Adventures of Theme Park Girl, who captured a really fantastic video of King Claw testing, and it appeared like it was running its full cycle, reaching its full height, and honestly it's looking a lot more intimidating than I originally thought. Once you see it really swinging up in the air like that, it does move very fast and it's very intense looking. It's definitely going to be a great thrill ride for the guests who are fans of thrill attractions. Theme Park Ogre spotted that a lot of the theming for the queue area has been put in place for King Claw, and I definitely feel like we're getting much closer to opening than we might realize. My personal anticipation is we might see it open possibly in October or early November. I don't have any information to back that up, it's just a hunch that I have. When do you think King Claw will be opening? Are you going to ride it, or does it look too intense for you? Let me know down below in the comments. In the last couple of episodes of the YumYum Report, I've been reading your comments and your thoughts about upcoming additions to the park, and I received so many comments and so many ideas, I've had to split them across multiple videos because I couldn't fit them into one video. So now I'm going to finish reading off the comments from the last couple of episodes of the YumYum Report from Dreamworld. For context, most of these comments are against the backdrop of the recent updates on Dreamworld's proposed land developments. Basically, the proposed developments have been introduced to Queensland's planning minister, who's currently considering taking over approval for the expansion. It's been something that the local council has been disputing for some time. They're at an even 50-50 split and they're sort of unable to reach a final result. So the idea is that the planning minister might take over and streamline the process and fast track it so we could potentially see the development move ahead much faster. And this is something we should find out by the end of September, which is obviously drawing closer. So we'll find this out very soon, hopefully. Gingy7325 says, if it leads to getting Australia a B&M Hyper or Giga or an extreme RMC coaster, then I'm all for it. Definitely, I feel like the development itself is exciting enough, let alone the potential fiscal implications it could have for Dreamworld as a park. Obviously, if there's additional streams of revenue coming in, they can funnel that back into the park for more developments, which will reinforce the need for stuff outside the park. So it's sort of a win-win situation if it does go ahead and it all works out. I feel like we could definitely see the addition of a few more attractions at Dreamworld, which would be fantastic. AU Theme Park Fan says, I think it definitely needs a city walk / downtown Disney style of shops and entertainment for when the park closes to keep people around and entertained longer. 100%, I feel like whenever I bring up the topic of this proposed land development and potential kind of city walk area, a lot of people sort of push back against it, saying that there's not enough attractions inside the park to justify having something like this. And I really don't think it's a point of having stuff inside the park. I think the idea is that Dreamworld's missing out on some obvious revenue because when guests leave the park, there's currently nothing for them to do, and they're going to other businesses and other venues to spend their money on food and on shopping. So the solution to that would be if Dreamworld had a bunch of shops and restaurants and things directly outside of the park that they owned the land of, because they would be landowners, they would lease it out to businesses, and they would make an absolute fortune. Ejected Bear Time says, whatever happens if they are building residential as part of this development, I sure hope they are building a clause into the contracts for property purchase that potential buyers are aware they are purchasing property next to a theme park, and there should be a reasonable expectation of noise from rides and roller coasters, and not being another entertainment precinct that gets closed because of noise complaints from residents that knew where they were buying in the first place. This is definitely a valid concern. I feel like it's very important that if they are building residential units in this precinct, that people are aware of what they're buying and it doesn't become a complaint because of the obvious noise from the rides and roller coasters. Hopefully they can figure out a solution to that. I feel like there's a lot of people, enthusiasts, that would be delighted to live directly next door to a theme park. But most people would probably find it quite irritating, constantly hearing screaming and rides J-Turbo Hardtail says they should add some sort of hypercoaster over the old Blue Lagoon area and the water at the back. Maybe some Intamin or B&M Hyper would be great. I'd love to see a B&M Hypercoaster. Dreamworld, I've sort of dipped my toe into B&M rides. I've been on Hairraiser at Ocean Park, and I've also been on Hollywood Dream at Universal Studios Osaka. And both of those rides were fantastic and featured some really great airtime, so that would be my choice as well. Super King says the park needs a big coaster like the X2 and a big flat ride like Shake R5, high capacity, not a hotel or shops. It's a theme park, you go for the rides. It doesn't need a water ride. They have a water park next door if you want to get wet. A nice family ride like a dark ride, the old Movie World Looney Tunes style ride, or Scooby-Doo style. Dreamworld definitely does need a new big coaster, but I feel like that's only focusing on one demographic at the park. It is, after all, a family-focused park, and the great thing about families is it covers a lot of ground. There's all kinds of generations within a family, and I'm sure thrill rides would appeal to some people within that demographic. I do feel like the ideal solution would be to add some kind of precinct that has one of each attractions, or if not, one attraction that sort of fulfills a little bit of the demands from each of those separate demographics. Dollywood in the US recently revealed their new ride, Night Flight Expedition, which is a hybrid between a coaster, a dark ride, and a water ride, and it looks absolutely incredible. Something like this would be absolutely perfect for Dreamworld, and I feel like it would sort of scratch the itch for each of those demographics. 3-Ticket Tat Carmine says, I said it on Jack's Journeys as well, but I really think they need to create more rides and attractions prior to this big project to make sure that they can take on the capacity. Right now, I do not think it does. I understand now with year-round parks, it would be always difficult to have all the rides up and running, which is the core reason they need more attractions. I agree with you to some extent. I do feel like it's a bit of a chicken or the egg situation, and I feel like a lot of people are sort of looking at the park as it is now, like today. The purpose of a development like this is so that further down the line, when the park does have more attractions and a need for something like this, that it's already there. You don't want to build it after the demand is there, because someone else would have already beat you to the finish line. As it stands, Dreamworld has nothing once guests leave the park for them to do, so it's sort of a huge gap in their fiscals that they could definitely take advantage of and utilize the opportunity to their advantage. Having a project like this surrounding the park would ironically do a great service to the park, because profits and extra funds could be funneled into the park. Therefore, more attractions would come. The Real Generic Smile says, I love thrill coasters, it's half the reason I love theme parks. I think that the Gold Coast could use a tilt coaster or a Giga coaster. The tilt coaster is a really popular suggestion that a lot of people seem to have. I do think it would be a really cool option. I'm personally terrified of the prospect. I don't think I could imagine riding that. A Giga coaster as well would definitely be very impressive. Theme Park Real says, I know the park is very hesitant to have a water ride, which I agree with, but if they ever do decide to build another one, then maybe a Mack water coaster would be a good idea. You could have a coaster slash water ride slash dark ride all in one, and the water coaster is a tried and tested model from a reliable manufacturer. Definitely agree with you on that, especially in light of Dollywood's new attraction, Night Flight Express, which is a coaster, water ride, dark ride hybrid, and it sounds fantastic. I think that would be perfect for Dreamworld. Tim Muppet Man says, I've always envisaged a large thrill coaster dominating the driveway into Dreamworld down the left-hand side, possibly even crossing over and utilizing the small section of forest on the right as its turnaround. The dreamer in me has always imagined Ijaneka in this plot, as seeing X2, her predecessor, looming over the driveway into Six Flags Magic Mountain left a lasting impact on me. But to be more sensible, a large-scale 200-foot plus B&M wing coaster akin to Gatekeeper at Cedar Point, reliable, people eater, GP and marketing will love the wing seat gimmick. It definitely would be really impressive to have something like Ijaneka at Dreamworld or X2, but I feel like your suggestion of a B&M wing coaster is a fantastic idea. I can definitely see the wing seat gimmick being a huge appeal to the GP market, like you say, and definitely something reliable and high capacity. That's a really cool idea. Abyssus Concepts says, some form of RMC around where Rocky Hollow used to be would be wicked. I strongly doubt Dreamworld will feel confident after putting a water ride in after, well yeah. If not RMC, and if not a more western themed area slash attraction, I'd love to see a ride like Nemesis at Alton Towers, but themed to the Bunyip. Something ground hugging and intense over the water near Rivertown would be kick-ass. I like your idea about something like Nemesis. That's a ride that's always caught my attention because of its layout and how, like you say, how close to the ground it is. I think it's such a cool idea. Theming it to sort of an Australian urban legend slash creature like the bunyip is a really cool idea. I do feel like some kind of Australiana First Nations type themed area would be really cool at Dreamworld. I am a Kiwi, I'm not too familiar with the culture here, so if there was a way to do it respectfully that actually was educational and informative, I think that would be a really cool idea. Jason F33 says, good to see Dreamworld continuously improving. The park needs to add at least one new attraction every year, otherwise it gets stale real fast. It is really fantastic to see Dreamworld improving at such a rapid pace. It's night and day the way that the park used to be compared to how it is now. And I feel like they've done a pretty good job at adding new attractions to the park. Over the last few years, we've seen the addition of Steel Taipan, the Dreamworld Flyer, updates to Kenny and Belinda's Dreamland, and of course Rivertown, and now King Claw. So I am really curious what's going to be the next attraction in their lineup after King Claw opens. I feel like all the changes to the park have sort of put it in good stead, and I don't really get bored visiting Dreamworld. There's a lot to do that covers all kinds of moods. You can go on rides, you can enjoy Jane's Rivertown restaurant, the animal area, you can enjoy some entertainment, or just the atmosphere of the park. Hi Popcorn says, I just feel like Dreamworld needs some consistency. That's why I prefer Movie World, as it's all very movie / old Hollywood / Warner Brothers based. Meanwhile, Dreamworld is so jarring. Like, what even is a park at this point? I think it easily has the potential to take over Movie World, as they're just lazy, but Dreamworld needs a lot more theming and fixing to at least help park flow a bit more. I do feel like Movie World does have a slightly more consistent theme, like you say, and I think the reason Dreamworld is jarring is because when it originally opened, it was sort of as a interpretation of a Disneyland style park, but translated to Australian. And over time, management changed hands and it was sort of reinterpreted in many different ways. It definitely became more of like a thrill-based park and all kinds of weird stuff, which has sort of soured the original source material in some sense. And I feel like they've put a lot of effort into returning back to the park's original vision, and they're doing a really great job at that. One thing I do feel like they could do to definitely improve the cohesion of the park is to add some kind of thematic or story to the hub area. Yeah, what exactly is the theme of Dreamworld, and what is the significance of all of these individual areas throughout the park? Rivertown, Ocean Parade, the Steel Taipan area, the animal area, how are they all linked together? You could do something like at Epic Universe where the story is that for each area you're walking through a portal, and when you pass through the portal, you're in a different land. Right now, Dreamworld does feel a little bit disjointed, and I feel like adding some kind of explanation to exactly what the thematic is would definitely improve it a bit more, like you say. Koala75 says, it will be exciting to see King Claw at its full height and speed. Already looking impressive. If they did get rid of Gold Coaster, I wouldn't be disappointed. Love roller coasters, but this one is rough. I'd be happy if they kept Motor Coaster with a retheme. I heard it's the best ride in the park. I'm excited for the future of the park, I can't wait to see what it will be. Great update, thank you. Yeah, you definitely can't replace Motor Coaster, it's a world famous, iconic attraction. Honestly, they should just keep it as it is. They should bring back the virtual reality version as well, because that looked really cool. Gold Coaster, yeah, I wouldn't be disappointed either if they got rid of it. I don't really have a soft spot for this ride. I don't find it particularly comfortable or interesting. Maybe for some historic value and nostalgia, I guess, but it could definitely use with an upgrade. GW Nicholas says, my idea, built a new themed area on the left side of the park that stretches from the former Rocky Hollow area to the former Dreamworld Studios and Big Brother House area. Build a pathway where Buzzsaw used to be to connect the area, as well as connect it to the giant drop area. In this new area, build a water dark ride in the style of Bermuda Triangle, where the old log flume was. A new flat ride, like a Scream and Swing or a Nebulas, and build a hypercoaster that's station is left of the giant drop, and chain lift that takes you up to the car park / highway, so it has a presence towering over the highway like DC Rivals. Longest, tallest, fastest coaster in Australia, with a focus on ejector airtime. I'd want it to be similar to Conda or Hyperion layout. Theme this new area to Australian culture, and also build an Outback themed restaurant there. Those are some really great ideas. I do like the idea of having an area kind of themed to Australian culture. Something like Hyperion would be really awesome, although Hyperion terrifies me. That hang time looks insane, but I definitely feel like a new log flume, dark ride, water ride, something like Bermuda Triangle would be fantastic. I'm kind of obsessed with the new Dollywood attraction at this stage. I think it sounds incredible. Night Flight Express, which is water ride, dark ride, coaster hybrid. Sounds awesome. Something like that. Please, Dreamworld. Coaster Blocks 3420 says, Motor Coaster could easily live a little longer with new trains, a speed boost, and retheming. As a family ride, it's not like the track and supports are put under a lot of stress, unlike the thrill coasters. Gold Coaster is near end of life. Even my mate who loved it said one ride was enough last visit. Replace it with an Intamin single rail coaster. More flat rides too. Even now Dreamworld can point and laugh at Movie World in that department. Finally, I'd love Dreamworld to look at the original plans for Cloudland, the one in Bowen Hills, and build a hotel in that Art Deco style, plus include a ballroom like the original. The people of Brisbane would line up to kiss Greg and company. I do agree with you about Motor Coaster. I definitely feel like all it really needs is a kind of touch-up. We could change from being a terrible attraction to a decent attraction, which would be a massive improvement. Yeah, I don't know how long Gold Coaster is going to stick around for. It definitely seems like it's in its elderly phase now, and it kind of needs some new young blood to come in and spice things up. I've never heard of Cloudland before. I'm a Kiwi, so this was really interesting for me to learn about. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. That place sounds really, really cool. E1 Blitz says, hey YumYum, another interesting video as usual. I was going to ask, are you going to post videos on TikTok again? Because I could see some potential for getting clips from these videos and making them short bits on TikTok, as they tend to do really well on there. And considering the high quality video format that it's done, I think it would be a no-brainer. Obviously you don't have to, and I understand that if you're already busy as it is on YouTube. Great video though, it's exciting to see King Claw testing. Thank you for your question. I have considered being more active on TikTok, and I might look at doing this at some point, but at this stage, YouTube sort of takes a lot of my time and priority. It takes a long time to edit the videos as they are, and to kind of reformat them into a vertical video style is just not something I really have the time for at this stage. I might consider uploading shorter clips in the future, like YouTube Shorts or some of the Instagram Reels and things that I upload. In terms of the YumYum report, I'm not really sure how I could do that, although it is a really good idea, and I could definitely see it would be a big benefit for the channel. It would help my channel grow a lot. It's just more of a time constraint, unfortunately, and I'm not in a position to like hire other people to help edit or anything. Maybe in the future, if the channel grows enough, I can sort of outsource some of this work to other people and broaden the horizons of Mr. YumYum Studios. Thank you everyone for your interesting comments and ideas. It's always a blast reading your thoughts. I'm sorry to anyone's comments who I didn't read. I try to sort of combine topics together if there's some things that are quite similar. If you have any comments or ideas that you'd like me to cover in the video, please feel free to leave them down below in the comments. I might make this a part of the videos going forward. I'm also adding a new segment to the YumYum report going forward, where I'll be featuring viewer highlights, moments that you've recorded at visits to theme parks around the world. They don't have to be Australian parks, just any interesting things that you've spotted at a park. Feel free to send me an email, a message on Instagram or Facebook. I'm gathering a bunch of clips, and once I have enough footage, I'll add this new segment, and it'll be really fun to share people's highlights and cool experiences from theme parks. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the YumYum Report from Dreamworld. Please feel free to leave a like, a friendly comment, or subscribe for more. And YouTube has also launched a new feature called the Hype button, which supposedly helps videos on smaller channels get noticed in the algorithm more. So feel free to press the Hype button as well, and hopefully it'll help the channel grow a little bit more. A big thank you to the members and sponsors of Team YumYum for supporting my content. Thank you to the Team YumYum members: Randall, Maloney's Coasters, Kai on the Internet, Oogie Boogie, Theme Park, Ogre, Jordan Casey, Johnny Boy 175, The Downy Cat, Mika, and Carrie Jekin. And a very special thank you to the sponsors: Koala 75, Audrey Allen, Senpai's JP Blue Dog, Senpai's JP Red Dog, Wayne Hewitt, Lee Donald, SW Stevie 1, The Kez, and Mr. WG. Thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.